to interrupt and ask questions. All right, so I'll start with introductions. My name is Nana Pong. I'm a senior vice president at CCS Fundraising. I've been with the firm for 10 years. Prior to joining CCS, I worked in development offices in two nonprofits. So the first one was a regional nonprofit based in DC. It was a membership organization of nonprofits across the DMV. And then I moved from that into international development work, still in the development, the fundraising space. And so, sort of a natural transition into fundraising consulting. My GWU experience really helped prepare me for this. I think about my capstone project that was working with the World Bank, and then also all those nonprofit management classes that I took. But in particular, I feel like grad school was really group-based learning, and I wasn't used to that coming from undergrad. And that's what we do here at CCS. You're always part of a group, you're always leading a group, you're always ensuring that we're meeting specific goals and benchmarks. And so that was especially helpful. I think Leah brings a different perspective. And so I'll pass it on to Leah for her introduction.
And please excuse my voice. I'm dealing with seasonal allergies, so it may come in and out. But yes, my name is Leah Woods. I'm a director at CCS. I've been with CCS for about 2 years now. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I completed my undergrad at GW and I studied international affairs. I actually was first introduced to CCS at a GW career fair, and that's really what led me into the work into the nonprofit space. I had a work study job at GW for a smaller nonprofit doing data analytics. So I was introduced to the field that way, and then learned about CCS and that they were going to attend GW's career fair. And since then, have been with the company. So it's a very full circle moment to be back, and we're excited to share more about the work we do and what a career at CCS would look like for you.
All right. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about CCS. We are a fundraising consulting firm, but we don't just do fundraising. Really strategic management is part of our work. We are 79 years old. We were actually started in Brooklyn and we maintain our headquarters in Manhattan. We're founded by two social workers after World War II, and they really wanted to build sort of leadership in communities across the United States. And so CCS fundraising was born out of that. And what we really strive to achieve is to help mission-driven organizations realize their potential and really continue to impact the communities and the people that they serve. 15 offices across the United States and in Europe. However, we work across the globe. We have over 600 employees who are partnering with nonprofits. Leah will share a little bit more about the day in the life, and what you'll learn is that each person is working with a specific nonprofit over the course of a project. We have over 800 client partners every year. So these are nonprofits across all sectors, different sizes, different missions. And one of our proudest metrics is that a lot of our clients are repeat and referrals. So we really strive to do good work the first time so that they come back, but also that they introduce us to others. So campaigns is really what we were founded on, like fundraising campaigns. That's just one of the things we do, but we do manage over 32 billion in campaigns every year. A lot of money, a lot of responsibility, but a lot of hard work as well as interesting work. Pass it on to Leah to talk about our services.
So we offer a range of services that support organizations at different stages of their fundraising efforts. So from early planning all the way through execution and long-term growth. Just to start with planning and feasibility studies, this is often where we begin with a client. We work with their leadership to test whether a major fundraising effort is actually feasible. So, for example, I had an opportunity to work with a university last year, Ohio Wesleyan University, where they wanted to explore doing a $300 million campaign. And as part of that, we conducted a series of what we call discussions uh, with the key stakeholders, such as alumni, parents of the students, the university staff, and leadership. And we'll share the vision of what they want to fundraise for and then see if that resonates with the stakeholders, um, analyze what level of support is possible, and then ultimately recommending a realistic goal, which will transition to that campaign management. And then you can see the obviously fundraising is a big thing for us, but we offer other services such as data analytics, where we'll help an organization analyze their prospects and identify who are the top capacity givers. We will do system and change management where we can help with strengthening their internal processes to support long-term success, development assessments and audits. We also do training and leadership developments for a lot of organizations and their board members. And other stuff as well as like the interim development. I don't know if Nana, you want to talk about any of the training and leadership developments
Yes, sure.
that you've led?
Absolutely. So we do work directly with CEOs and board members to help orient them in fundraising. We find that um, at least 85% of fundraising comes from leadership and particularly board members. And so they do this by opening doors to new donors, by giving themselves in terms of stretch gifts to the organization, by joining the CEO or the development team member on visits. And so it's really important that we help to orient and train leaders in fundraising. I have done a lot of interim development work. So typically, an organization loses their development person, and we can come in and staff that role. We a part of our work is to ensure that we leave an organization more stabilized than we find it because we're there for a period of time. And so we want to make sure that in our engagement, whether it's through a feasibility study or campaign management or data analytics, that we're also helping to resource and strengthen the team before we leave. So just a number of resources that we provide, and team members can serve in any role in terms of these services when they are assigned to a client. These are just a selection of some of the organizations that we work with. So I mentioned that we work across all sectors. So you could find yourself working with a library in a small community or working with the United Way or YWCA USA. I'm looking at this list and trying to think about some of our top clients, like the National Museum of African American History and Culture. We actually came in after the museum had started its first campaign. Unfortunately, it wasn't going too well, and so CCS was brought in to help with that. We have since run a number of campaigns with them, most recently including a $350 million campaign. We've been so proud of this engagement in particular because of the historical importance in our country. And several others, as you see, religious, human services, education, and the like. Do you have any questions about CCS in particular or about the services that we provide that we can help answer?
You folks, you can unmute, you can type it in the chat. I've got my eye on the chat. Whatever works for you, but this is your opportunity to ask questions. I have a couple, but I'd rather you ask them.
Hello, I'm coming off mute. I just turned my camera on as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can see me, but I think you can.
Yes.
My name is Ragni, and I'm in the Master of Public Administration program. I'm doing a concentration in nonprofit management, and I've worked in the nonprofit sector for a few years now. I wouldn't call myself a veteran at this point, but I've worked in development specifically for about 5 years, and I think I've just had a general curiosity about how the consulting side of things works because I've worked with consultants, but I don't think like I'm just curious, and I wonder, I'm just gonna ask the question, what do you think sets apart CCS as like a global organization from your peers? Like, or group or Bridgespan, or if Bridgespan is considered a peer, I think. What do you think is different? Like, is it offering different kinds of services? Is it the scale of the work or the clients? And that's just, like I said, born out of a general curiosity. Thank you.
We are the oldest in this field. We're also the largest. So I mentioned before, over 600 employees working across the world on different projects. Our model is significantly different than other consulting firms. And so some consulting firms fly in on a Thursday, fly out over the weekend, they tell you what to do. We actually are with our clients. And so you are part of the team. I have lived in Buffalo working with a client. I have lived in Denver working with a client. We find that that model is significantly better because we learn more about the organization. We learn about the culture. We learn about how to speak about the organization. So we're on staff. We are an extension of the team, and we're working to accomplish a specific task, which is extremely different than other consulting firms. The other difference is that we're only working with one organization at a time. So when you hire CCS, you're hiring a team of people who are solely dedicated to whatever project you're working on. You don't have people coming in and out. So I would say those are the things that really set us apart. Leah, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, it leads into the next slide of the consultant experience, where I could talk a little bit more about the day-to-day of what it's like. So as Nana said, it is like you truly become almost like a full employee for your organization. You're assigned to a client. It could be anywhere from a month, 3 months, 6 months to 2 years, depending on what their priorities are. And you fully engulf yourself in their culture, their environment, and you want to think like them so that way you can find the solutions that are going to help them long term. So right now, although we are based in DC, I'm currently working on a project, the Diocese of Charlotte. So I have completely relocated to Charlotte for the next 2 years, and I'm with the client, working with them every day. So on a given day, I might be in meetings, talking through strategy, whether that's helping a parish to think about their priorities, planning the next steps, planning for an upcoming conversation with a donor. In between meetings, I'm doing a lot of writing, developing materials like a case statement. So this is the story, the narrative of what are we fundraising for? What do we want to share with the donors? The messaging. I also help write with donor communications, emails, internal planning documents that are ultimately going to help guide the work that we do. I also spend a lot of time working with the data. So looking at our donors and analyzing to identify who the top supporters are and how do we want to approach them. And then again, just the big part of this role is keeping everything organized. Your client, they still have their day-to-day tasks that they have to do. So adding a campaign, we are responsible for managing and organizing and making sure that everything is on track. So that way our client is able to just pop into a meeting. We give them the updates. We tell them what is needed, what is expected, and they can complete their campaign tasks while also still managing their massive organization. So overall, it's a lot. It's a mix of meetings, writing, strategy, coordination, and it makes it very interesting because you're working with different people, you're working with different challenges all the time. Every time you get a new client, it feels like you're starting a new job. So every day is different, but it's exciting. You know that the missions you're working on are impactful and you get to see that happen. So it's very fun.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'll pause if there's any more questions about the day-to-day life. And then next we'll talk about how you can join CCS.
Everyone's excited to hear about careers.
Yeah.
All right. Leah, you want to take this?
Yes. So we are constantly hiring. Obviously, since I was hired, we take a lot of new grads, undergrads, a lot of early career positions. I do feel like this role, it's like because it's so dynamic and you're working with so many different sectors, different clients, and you get exposure to that senior leadership early, it really does help you to earn substantial experience early on. I've been with the company 2 years and I've already worked with 3 projects. I have met some of the top donors in the DMV area. I have attended galas. I have attended fundraising events where I've been exposed to individuals that I never thought I would be in the room with. And it's really cool. It's really fun. We have, as Nana said, offices all over the country. We are all hiring for consultants. I know the Charlotte team is hiring right now for directors. You can go to our website. There is a list of open roles. When you apply, our interview process, for me, it took about 3 to 4 months. You start off with a phone call interview. And from there, you are given a writing task. So you will get a task that you do, and then you present that to a RCCS board. And then from there, it's a final in-person interview. Nate, I don't know if you want to offer any tips or advice of what CCS is looking for.
Yeah,
Directors.
I used to actually chair, well, one quick thing, CCS is, I think when you go to our website and you're applying, we are divided into regions. And so you get an opportunity to apply to a specific region. And so our region where Leah and I work is the Atlantic region, but we oversee the DMV area, Florida, as Leah said, Charlotte, the South. And so while Leah is in Charlotte, yes, your client could be anywhere across the country, but we want to ensure that you are in a place that one, you feel comfortable. You're also with an organization that you feel comfortable working with. And so all of that is considered in your placement. What we're looking for good writers is a lot of writing in this work. We're looking for people who, what we call, can be in the role of a trusted advisor. Our clients are hiring people to tell them how to do things better. And so they need to see the confidence within you and also be able to trust that the advice that you're giving is sound. We don't necessarily need you to have nonprofit experience because we have an extremely robust learning and development component of our hiring process or our hiring process. However, if you do have fundraising experience, it's great. I came in with significant fundraising experience. I think it helped me, particularly when I was serving in interim development roles, because I kind of knew what I was doing. But again, we do have a really extensive courses. And the other thing that we have is we have sector groups. So if you are placed with an environment organization and you've never worked with an environment, you can join an environment sector groups, which is other people like you who are working with organizations that have similar missions. And it allows you a place to ask questions if you have questions coming up at your client site that you don't understand, but also you have a group of people who are really championing your success. I think that's one thing that I have found particularly helpful at CCS is that we're very, very collaborative. We always say don't reinvent the wheel because someone else has done it somewhere in some community and you can learn from them. So yeah, writing, being a trusted advisor, just the way in which you show up. When people hire CCS, they're hiring a person. The firm comes along, but they're hiring a person. So the way you show up is also extremely important. Any questions about the hiring process?
Can you drill down a little bit on the data skills that somebody might need coming in?
Mm. Our data analytics piece is fairly new. It's a few years, maybe 6 or 7 years. I didn't come in with any data experience. We have a full data analytics team. So when, for example, if you were doing a feasibility study. Part of our feasibility study process is to analyze donor data because we want to understand donor trends within the organization, but we also want to be able to project what potential capacity could look like amongst the donor pipeline. So our donor team does that work. The responsibility of the person who's working with the client is to be able to interpret that data, but our data team plays a very important role in helping you achieve that. I think what you really need to be able to do is understand donor data, understand the donor pipeline, and that you're able to get that insight when you're on site and you're working with the client side by side. See a hand from Suzette.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation. Question more about what applicants, what employees you're looking for, what specific skills aside from writing do you seek when you're hoping to hire someone? And I'm trying to figure out, it's my first year in grad school, so I'm trying to figure out my concentration. I worked a lot in international affairs, but kind of trying to seek to diversify my skill set. So any recommendations that you see from your side? Thank you.
Leah.
Yes, definitely diversifying your skill set. A lot of I would say a lot of our employees have came in. I didn't have any fundraising experience when joining CCS, but I also had a major in international affairs, and my concentration was international politics, the political, social, environmental system. So that way I was able to take classes in pretty much every single sector. And I found that to be very helpful when I joined CCS with the opportunities to get a client. You can get an environmental client, you can get a health service client, university client. So finding ways to, yes, diversify your skill set and using your strengths to adapt them to which client you get is going to help you a lot here.
Yeah, and a basic understanding of the nonprofit sector
Mhm.
would be helpful. We do a lot of presentations, being comfortable to stand in front of a board and, navigate some of the questions that might come your way. We work as a team though, so you're never going to be alone on the client side. You're always going to have someone with you guiding it. Leah talked a little bit about, she used the title director. So our directors are individuals who are working daily with the client. So on site working on a project. My role is more overseeing a number of clients. And so I would have 7 or 8 clients in my portfolio. But I am helping Leah, for example, on whatever she's working on. I'm providing that strategic advice to her, and then I'm joining her in meetings. We consider our directors, what we say, the generals of the work. And so Leah's going to have all the information, all the knowledge about the client. I'm just there to support her in whatever leadership role she needs. And so you're always going to have a team member with you guiding you. And as I said, we have a very robust onboarding program where you can join courses on the consultant mindset or how you show up on a consultant side. We want to make sure you're successful because your success is our success as a firm. And so we really arm you with all the resources you need to do that.
And one additional, thank you for the explanation. Very good to know. Yeah, and if you have more specific transferable, like concrete technical skills that you're looking for, definitely welcome those. My second question is, I've been working with the federal government for about 7 years now, 6, 7 years. So what kind of mid-level career options do you have in your organization?
Mm. Um, CCS is very proud of being able to move people within the organization. And so we are really focused on our career pathway, which is designed to help people move up rather than hiring people into leadership positions. Um, And we are very clear about what that career pathway looks like. So when you come into the organization, you can do one of three things. One is you can go the consultant route, which is throughout your career, you are working directly one-on-one with a consultant. So with a client, and you are able to gain expertise in a particular area. So you decide, you do a number of clients and you decide, you know what, arts and culture is where I really want to stay. We need expert consultants in the arts and culture sector. And so we help guide you in that path. And so you stay on the consultancy path. There are a number of people within the firm that are considered consultants. And so these are our highest level experts who we bring in on some of the most challenging clients. You could also go the engagement management route. And this is a person who is really responsible for managing the project. This person will have a number of projects that they're managing, and they serve in lockstep with the director who's overseeing the day-to-day. I am in the client services field, and my role is to really serve as the relationship builder with the client. So I work with the engagement manager and the director to ensure the success of the entire relationship with the client. And then there's operations, and in operations, we have strategy and development, business development, the data analytics part. We have a research team. So there's so many different pathways that you can take. But we want our people to stay with us, right? And so one of the things that happens when you stay with us is that you get career longevity, and then you're able to move up within the firm. It's very rare that we will hire someone directly into a top leadership role.
Other questions? This is your chance, Harini.
Hi, Nana and Leah. Thank you for taking your time out to explain CCS to us. I'm an MPP student interested in nonprofit management, and like yourself, I have signed up for the courses, the same similar courses here. I have a unique question, I would say. So I am a G4 visa holder. Um, G4 dependent visa holder. So I right now currently work with Nashman Center as part of their fundraising. So I'm doing some bit of grant writing. I'm learning how to write. I thought I was a good writer, but I just realized, that's not enough. You need to know more.
Yeah.
So yes, as much as you think you have skills, every day you keep learning. So my question to you is, I bring in a vast experience of lived experience. I've lived in over 7 countries. Uh, and I have a lot of cultural context depending on the countries that I've lived in. So I think I bring in an experience that is a little different. But I'm also a G4 visa holder, which allows me to gain employment, but there is a caveat. I need to seek permission from the State Department.
Mm.
And with the new administration, there's a lot of confusion. Nobody knows which way what is going. So in this situation, I would like to still apply for roles, but when I went on your website and looked for roles, they were all in different places. So I just wanted to understand, how can I position myself in a better way in your organization if I have a chance?
Okay. I don't think I can answer the visa question, but can definitely direct you to someone who can if you want to send us an email after this. Um, we are very particular in the way we assign people to projects. And so we take all that into consideration when we're assigning you. For some clients, there are specific things that are important to them. They want to know that the person understands their community or speaks a specific language or has had specific experience in some area. And so we try to match our people to that client. So your experience will be taken into consideration. It's important to us. On each region, we do a lot of work of understanding every person's expertise, but also experience, because we see that as two different things, that you have specific knowledge in an area or you just have experience doing it. And we want to be sure that we understand all of that when we're doing assignments. But also understanding that assignments happen if we have the right client and you're available to do the work at that time. So it's very tricky, but we do a lot of work to ensure that we can match people with the right clients.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ashley.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to go back to your question, or to the comment that you made about the specializations within the roles. And so looking at the website, it looks like you just apply for a consultant role. And then as you get through the process, do they kind of determine like where your skills fit, or do you select like what you're interested? I was just wondering how that works.
So the pathway is determined during your performance review. I don't know if that's helpful, right? So you wouldn't necessarily determine your pathway at the start of working with CCS because we want you to get a little bit of experience. But once you go through the review process, we start to talk about, well, okay, Ashley, you've done a couple of projects now. What are you really thinking? We've done a lot of work in terms of our performance reviews and evaluations to ensure that we are helping to provide our people with an understanding of where they fit within the organization and how we can get them there. And so that's when you sort of determine that.
Got it. Thank you.
And I will say that CCS is very transparent and supportive about your career growth. They truly do invest in the employees and want you to succeed because that's going to help the client succeed. So there's a lot of even like mentor programs where you'll get assigned like a navigator who's a senior director, and you'll have monthly, weekly calls with them where you can ask them for advice, constantly talking about your career growth. Do you want to specialize in schools and universities, or would you prefer to be more data analytical and be an expert in that field? So CCS really, I will say, the leadership does pay attention to the employees, and they see you, and they allow ample opportunities for conversations to talk about whatever interest or your path that you would like to take.
Any more questions? Okay, I'll throw one out there. So since a consultant or a director is only working with one client at a time, right? Is there downtime in between clients? What if there isn't a project that's available right at that moment for somebody? How does that work, if you stretch the time out a little bit?
I don't recall having downtime in my career. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but when it happens, we pair you up on another project just so you can continue to gain those skills. We would prefer not to have people who have downtime. It's not good for the business in general. And so I also talked about sort of the collaborative nature of the way we work. And so if I, for example, were on a project and I had some downtime, but Leah has 20 things going on and she needs help, I would then be assigned to help with those things until I'm given my own project.
Okay, folks, last chance to ask questions. Okay. Wonderful. This is great. Thank you so much. I had no idea that you did so many different kinds of things too. That list of services is pretty comprehensive. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and give us some really great information. I think everybody should have seen the slide with our guest contact information, which is very generous of both of you, Nana and Leah. Thank you so much. And have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Well,
time.